Good day, Tim Phillips, Sunlit Motivation, and we are looking at a concept of average and exceptional. Two awesome little ideas here, and I've been kind of struggling with that average and exceptional throughout my whole life, but I was first really strongly, heavily made aware of what I'm talking about in college. When I was in Northern Illinois University, I mean, my first schooling, I worked very hard to be a student and didn't quite make it very well. In fact, I would be considered an average student because at that time, this would be 30 years ago, the average student didn't make it. They didn't graduate. And I transferred over to Western Illinois University, where I not only did I succeeded with great grades, with grades you'd be considered exceptional. So let's take a look. So at Northern, I was average, and at Western, they would consider me exceptional. So what are the two main ingredients that would determine this rarity, if you will? Well, let's look at average first. According to the Merriam-Webster dictionary, the English word average is a derivative of the French word avare, where damaged goods on a ship would be shared between the owners of the ship and the insurance adjusters. And together, an adjuster would show up on the ship and say, well, that looks damaged. You're right, that's damaged. That didn't make it. We can't sell it, but that we can. And determine on what is done here, your share of the loss is this, and our share is this. And that was the average. And we take it to today. In fact, I would expand that average still kind of means the same thing. See, average anything is the very best of the worst of its type. Average income. I can't turn on the TV too long before something pops up, through YouTube or something that, well, you can't make it on the average income. But you can't make it on an average income because it's the best of its worst type. What's an average grade at school? I made it through on exact C's. Put me in play, An average sportsman using basketball. An average basketball player would score, 6, 8 points a game, make a few rebounds, et cetera, et cetera. Being average means you know enough of the game to play, but not enough to make a difference. So, what is exceptional? Once again, using our great Merriam-Webster dictionary, and they had a bunch of items on it, but simply something exceptional is rare. It's harder to find. You have to look hard for it. What would great wealth look like? That would be opulence. That would be rare. You have to look at and measure how much money do you have, how much resources, how much time can you take off. We'll consider that wealth. And we you know what? You're in the top 1%. Fantastic. What would be non-wealth look like? That would also be rare, and that would be your poverty. And what will make my point even well is how rare is a two-car family. A two-car family here in Chicago is not rare at all. In fact, someone owning multiple cars is not that rare. I would even almost say that'd be average. An average household of 4 would have 2 cars, at least eventually. But how rare is a two-car family in Afghanistan or France or Africa, a country in Africa? It probably is a lot more rare because it's not either it's not a need, and or maybe the income won't dictate a two-car family. So now for measuring who can have a two-car family, it depends on where it is and how well we can measure it. Let's bring it back home and look at examples of measurement that can be directly related to something being exceptional. If we look at a baseball player, what would he be considered rare? If he can get on base 1 out of every 3 pitches, every 3 ups at bat, he can get on base is considered very rare. It's called batting 300, 333, but batting 300. And that person, based upon that measurement of how often he can get on base, depending on the average pitcher, he can dictate some quite great wealth in that arena. But let's look at parents. Parents can be average or exceptional depending on what is being measured. See, an exceptional parent says, I'm an exceptional parent because my kids are all getting straight A's. I have straight A students, all 3 of them, 4 of them, 17 of them are straight A's. Wow, you are exceptional. But those kids are in and out of jail all the time. What are we measuring? An employee, an exceptional employee, I show up all the time and I do everything that needs to be done. Fantastic. And that is, in our organization, that is rare. I expect it. That's fantastic. Do you go above and beyond? No, I'm not paid enough. So as a good employee, maybe for a good standing in the state of the company in rough times, that person would be an exceptional person to keep in place. Very predictable, but the employee would not be considered so much for promotions or other advancements in the company. And let's look at a company. What would an exceptional company look like? We had record profits this year. Excellent. Did you share it with the workers or with the executives? Now, if they're an average company, they might just share it with the executives. So the employees, well, yeah, we're exceptional, fantastic. I don't see any of it, so I'm just going to go. I'm not. Doesn't concern me as much. What an exceptional result, such as a baseball player, batting 300, he can command some great resources in that industry. But what won't it tell you about that person? It won't tell you if their lawn is cut. It won't tell them if they are even good parents. They won't tell you if their finances are in order. It only tells you that they are exceptional at baseball. And that is important because that is what's getting measured. Characteristics that are taken for granted with exceptional people is that, wow, he does great in baseball. He must be a ethical person, or we take their word for granted. This person endorsed that. This person says this. It may be 100% correct, and it may align with what you're thinking, but based upon what they're exceptional at, you can't gauge their ethicality on it. That is important. Like, for example, that parent who has straight A students, you're getting good grades, you're going to study, and then they find themselves in trouble all the time. You could take studying advice from them, but based upon the results, I would not take social advice from them, or maybe spiritual in that case. So let's kind of bring this a little bit home. We all are exceptional. We were created to be exceptional in a gifted area. My prayer for you, my prayer for me is to locate what that is in you and start and develop it beyond your measure. Now, how can we be exceptional? It's got to be something that can be measured. Ever heard the phrase cut once, measure twice? Well, this example, we're going to measure 300 times and perform once. My own characteristics. I have pursued public speaking, public education based upon the building of companies in my background. And I am pursuing an exceptional and excellence in public speaking and teaching, not having that as a background. So we're saying 5-6 years ago, the best conversations I would have would be my locker at the office. Hi, locker. Fantastic. I'll talk to everyone later. But that was not in my head, and that was not in my heart. So I pursued books like How to Win Friends and Influence People. I pursued books on how to raise myself from failure to success in selling. It doesn't mean I knew how to apply it, but I was putting it in my head. And then I tried to apply it, and I stuttered. I spoke fast, probably still do for all I know. I didn't even look the part. I should probably comb my hair if I'm going to talk to someone. But then I started doing other public events. My favorite one is I took improv classes. I took my own money to go into improv classes, not to learn how to speak. You ready for this? To learn how to listen. And now we're getting a track record of measurements. And right now my measurements are not that good. But I'm going to keep going it. I'm going to keep pursuing it. And I'm going to get better because who I'm hanging around are in that industry. They're successful speakers. who I'm hanging around are educated. They've written books. These are people I could text and come back to. And it doesn't come by accident. It's because I pursued it. And you can pursue being a chef. You could pursue being a great mom, a great dad. You could pursue having your own company and being exceptional in that. Later on, I'm going to do a talk on what it looks like to be at the top and what to expect coming from the top. But once you are communicating with people going somewhere, your boat goes somewhere. And when you communicate with people being average, expect the frustration that they're all expecting. I love you. I can't wait to work with you one-on-one. Check out the old Sunlit Motivation workshops, and we will talk to you soon. Bye.